One of the newest cards to be revealed is Machamp V and Vmax, and I'm very excited because they're really cool cards. And so yesterday, of course, we had to make a deck. Hey everybody, Nick from 9Card TCG, and today we're going to be looking at a preliminary Machamp Vmax deck that we made on stream. Yes, I do occasionally stream. I usually stream on the weekends for a couple hours on Saturday or Sunday. So you can, I guess subscribe to the channel and know when I'm going to go live, because I always post about it at least a day in advance. And yeah, so we built this Machamp Vmax deck, and we got some translations thanks to the wonderful people over at PokeBeach. You can find PokeBeach's link in the video description. And before we get into the deck itself, of course, if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, leave a like and a comment. All those things tell YouTube this is a good channel and other people should watch it. If you're in the market for some TCG accessories, I am now affiliated with Dragon Shield. You can use the link in the video description. Get yourself some awesome Dragon Shield matte sleeves. They're the only ones I use, and you show up to regionals looking and feeling like a pro. If you use the link, I get a kickback, which means I can make more and better videos for you guys. And finally, there is a membership option. You can click join, see all the different perks that you get from becoming a YouTube channel member. It helps to support me a little bit more directly. But there's no expectation for you to become a member. Just you being here watching is enough for me. Now, with all that out of the way, we're going to head over to the PokeGear app where we can take a look at this Machamp Vmax deck. PokeGear is a fantastic website, and of course you have the link to this in the video description as well. And one of the things that really made me happy about making this deck is that we had Justin Basil in the YouTube chat yesterday when I was filming, and he helped create this deck. So it's definitely not an ideal 60. We're still missing a bunch of cards from Astral Radiance, and we still don't know if we're getting a Machamp V-Star or if it's going to be a Dragonite V-Star. So but very quickly, let me back up. Some of these cards that are new are coming out in Astral Radiance, and some are going to be coming out in our June special set, which is going to be a Pokemon Go set. And I am very excited for that set because supposedly there's going to be a Machamp Vmax. Well, we know there's a Machamp Vmax, but there might be a Machamp V-Star. There's a little bit of confusion or discussion as to whether or not it's going to be a Machamp V-Star or Dragonite V-Star, because in Japanese, apparently Machamp and Dragonite look pretty similar in terms of how they're written. So we don't know, or I don't know at least, if it's going to be Machamp or Dragonite. I'm really hoping it's a Machamp, but there has yet to be a Dragon-type V-Star, so I do feel like we're due for one, and my money is on Dragonite V-Star. So we have a Dragonite V already. Could get the Dragonite V-Star in the Pokemon Go set. So I'm going to take a look at this deck. Again, as new cards are revealed and as the meta shifts, some of these things may come and go. But at the moment, this is what we're working with. And we do have, of course, 3 Arceus V and 2 Arceus V-Stars. Those are really just to help set up our Machamps. They're also, in case we're working with or playing against something that is a Psychic type deck, we don't necessarily have to use Machamp. But a lot of our deck is based around using that fighting type. We also have, of course, Machamp V, and this artwork is absolutely incredible. Kawayu? Oh god, I said that so wrong. Kawayu? I'm so sorry for mispronouncing that name so horribly, but this artwork is just it's probably one of my favorite cards in the TCG. This Machamp looks fantastic. We have the Revenge Buster attack. For a fighting and a colorless, does 50 damage, and if any of your benched Pokemon have any damage counters on them, this attack does an additional 50 damage. And then you have Seismic Toss for 2 fighting and a colorless, 140 damage. Nothing super crazy. Retreat cost is 3, and that's kind of important. We'll take a look at some of the cards to deal with that later. 220 health, Psychic Weakness, no resistance. Machamp Vmax, this is also another beautiful card. I think it's going to look way better in person because it's so colorful, so bright, so vibrant that when we get that texture and that pattern on it, it's going to look awesome. 330 health, again, still a retreat cost of 3, and then we have Psychic Weakness, Revenge Buster, again fighting colorless, does 80 damage, and if any of your benched Pokemon have any damage, this attack does an additional 140 damage, which means now Revenge Buster is going to be hitting for 220. We also have Gmax Charge or Gmax Juggernaut, depending on whose translation you use, which hits for 240 damage, and during your next turn, this Pokemon can't use Gmax Juggernaut, which is probably fine. We also have the Radiant Hawlucha. Some people know it as Sparkling Hawlucha, but I think the official name is Radiant Hawlucha, and the attacks of your Pokemon do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Vmax, so that's a really cool card. Lumineon we're aware of, it just helps find a supporter from the deck. We have a 2-2 line of Bibarel and the Bidoof, Industrious Incisors, really good draw support. And then we have Oranguru. The reason why Oranguru is needed here is actually for this next card of Gutsy or Gritty Pickaxe. I'm not sure which one it is, but you reveal the top card of your deck. If it is a fighting energy, then you can attach it to one of your benched fighting Pokemon. Otherwise, put this card in your hand. So now, if we have a fighting energy in our hand, we can use Primate Wisdom to put it at the top of the deck, play Gutsy Pickaxe, Accelerator to a bench fighting Pokemon, and then we can still make our attachment for the turn. And if we don't have the Oranguru or the fighting energy in hand, we can at the very least draw a card. 4 Quick Ball, 4 Ultra Ball are our Pokemon Search, Escape Rope, and Switch to deal with that 3 retreat cost of the Machamp Vmax, and I guess also the V. The Escape Rope is going to act like a semi-boss, because what it's going to do for us is it's going to let us put a damaged Machamp or Arceus onto the bench, and then go ahead and hit with a fresh Machamp and do extra damage based on the Revenge Buster attack. And Switch kind of works the same way. Choice Belt, our attack's going to do 30 more damage to our opponent's active V Pokemon. 2 Boss, 3 Money, 4 Research. We do have a Raihan. We'll move this over because I want to cover these next cards last. 3 Double Turbo to help get that Trinity Nova Trinity Charge as early as possible. 8 Fighting Energies. The most we need is 1 on, we need 3 for the Machamp. So that's 3 and 6 if we power up 2 Machamps. And then we have an extra 1 for the Arceus. That's 7 plus a Double Turbo Energy. So, and then there's just like that floating, fighting energy. So that's kind of how I think about powering up Pokemon. I want to use my 2 Machamp Vmaxes. Well, in order to use 2, I need 6 fighting energy. I also need a fighting energy on my Arceus V-Star, so that's 7. So at the minimum, I need 7 energies. And I want the 8th as just like, easier way to find it. Sometimes they get prized, something like that. So that's why we do the energy count and the Double Turbo Energy 3, so that we can pull off that turn 1 Trinity Charge if we're going second, or that easier turn 2 Trinity Nova if we're going first. So now we do have a couple of new cards. We have 2 new supporters. Grant, the attacks of your fighting type Pokemon do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon, and if this card is in your discard pile, you can discard 2 other cards from your hand to get Grant from your discard pile and put it into your hand, which means you basically get to play it for free, and that works really well with the Bibarel line. So basically, at some point during the game, we play Grant or we discard it for some reason with Quick Ball, we discard it with a Research, something happens, and now it's in the discard. Well, we can discard 2 other cards from our hand, get Grant, fill our hand back up, or play Grant, fill our hand back up with Bibarel, continue to make some plays, so that's really cool. And then, of course, we do have a copy of Roxanne. You can only play this card if your opponent has 3 or fewer prize cards remaining. Shuffle your hand into, both of you, shuffle your hands into your deck. The person who played this draws 6, your opponent draws 2. So, it's kind of like a reset stamp in a way. It's similar to an N, except it has a condition that you can only play it when your opponent's Pokemon, when your opponent has 3 or fewer prizes remaining. And then this Gape Draw Bog, I think is the name of this. When each player puts a basic Pokemon into play, that Pokemon takes 20 damage or 2 damage counters. Now, why on earth would we want to play a card that's going to damage our own Pokemon? Well, Revenge Buster on Machamp. That's the obvious answer. We throw down a Hawlucha, it's going to take 20 damage fine, but now Revenge Bust is hitting for 220. And oh, by the way, if our opponent's active Pokemon is a Vmax, now we're hitting for 250. And oh, by the way, if we have a Choice Belt, we're hitting for 280. And oh, by the way, we have Grant, which means now we're actually hitting for 310. So we can hit for quite a bit of damage with just a Revenge Buster. 310 is enough to knock out most things in the game. And then we also can just do 240. 240 plus 30 for the Choice Belt is 270. 300 to a Vmax, 330, and there we go. We're knocking out any Pokemon Vmax in the game with Gmax Juggernaut. I actually like Gmax Juggernaut better than Gmax Charge, but that's just me. So we can use Gmax Juggernaut to take out any Pokemon V or Vmax in the entire game, and it's not that hard of a setup, honestly. Choice Belt, a Hawlucha, well, we have plenty of Quick Ball, Ultra Ball. We can even Starbirth for the two. We can Starbirth for a Choice Belt and a Hawlucha, as long as Gapejaw Bog is on the field. Or even if it's not, again, we can Starbirth for a Quick Ball. We can Starbirth for the stadium, whatever it is we need. Get the other one by either having it already or drawing with Bibarel. Really, again, not that hard to do. And then we just go ahead and play Grant. And even if Grant is in the discard pile, if we need cards, we can use Bibarel to fill our hand to discard 2 to get Grant back. Or if we need to find something, we can discard some cards to get Grant back, play it, and then fill our hand back up. And we have Oranguru to dig a little bit deeper. We have Lumineon to find us the Grant if it's not in the discard. So there's a lot of ways we could make this work. I personally wasn't a huge fan of Machamp, the Vmax, when I first saw it, but the more I started to think about it, and then we saw the Grant, and then we kind of thought, I don't remember who, and I'm so sorry. Someone said, pair Machamp with Gapejaw Bog, and I thought, that's obviously like what we should do. And then we, the Grant and the Hawlucha, and we can make this work. We can definitely make this work. We don't have to discard energies. We can also hit through Duraludon because Gmax Juggernaut here is not using any special energies. The only thing that should have special energy attached to it is our Arceus, or maybe a Pokemon that we need to retreat. So we can attach it and retreat, but it's not going to stay very long. So I definitely think there's some potential here. It, of course, depends on the meta. If Mew is everywhere still, and it's still 18 to 20% of the meta, 1 in 5 decks of Mew, this might be a little challenging. Can we work around it? Maybe. We do play a couple of bosses. We play the Escape Rope, so there's a chance that we can Escape Rope and get a Genesect, take the knockout, boss a Genesect game. I don't think it's as likely, but it's definitely a possibility. Arceus V-Star is pretty good for that. Machamp V-Max. V is probably good enough, again, with a Grant and a Choice Belt. We're knocking out Genesects, we're knocking out Mews, so there's definitely some play. It of course depends on, is there enough Vmaxes in the format to make Gmax Juggernaut really useful? Maybe if there's not, then we cut the Hawlucha, and then we're still hitting for 270 with a Choice Belt, which is enough to knock out most Pokemon V-Stars or lower. And then we have the Grant if we need, where we can hit for 300 on the off chance that something is, as a big charm or something like that. So I definitely think there's something here. And I really like the Gutsy Pickaxe to help with draw consistency, to accelerate energies to the bench. I'm super excited for this deck. The more I think about it, the more I'm really excited. And obviously, I would really like to see if there's a Machamp V-Star. Again, as cards are announced and revealed, this deck is likely to change. If it does turn out that there's a Machamp V-Star, we might have to do some switching around. Maybe we only do a one of Machamp V-Max and get 2 Machamp V-Stars, something like what a Charizard V-Star, Arceus V-Star deck has. But we'll see how it goes. For now, this is the list I got. We'll update it in the future if needed. And there we go. So, Machamp VMAX, let me know in the comments below what you think of this deck. What's some things that you would change? What are some of the matchups you think might be problematic for this deck? Of course, aside from something like Mew, because Mew is a problem for a lot of decks, especially a Psychic Weak deck like a Fighting type Pokemon. Subscribe, like, comment. We talked about all that at the beginning. There's the Dragon Shield link, links to Pokegear, Pokebeach. Yeah, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks so much. I hope you enjoyed. Found this a little informative. If you did, do all the stuff I just said. And I will see you next time.